Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night with Friends. And tonight, our friend is Marianne from the Raja Yoga Meditation Center in Miami, who's got a very long, credible background in many areas, a great speaker. We just saw her last week speaking on happiness. I hope you saw that. If not, we'll send you a link or you'll make a link available for you to see that. It's a class not to miss. Tonight's class is something that I had seen in an article. And of course, you can't go anywhere in today. And the title, just to give a title to it, is You Can't Fight Gravity, Being Ready for the Changes. And this is something we can all relate to at this time in life. With so much has happened politically, the pandemic, and just the way that everything is run now. And one ubiquitous name that goes all over the world is Amazon. We all know what Amazon is. And I seen an article that Jeff Bezos is stepping down and they have a new CEO coming in. And they're trying to introduce him. And I saw an article that he had written. He says, well, you can understand me I just have a 4-word sentence that runs my life. And it's called, You Can't Fight Gravity. And so to put that in perspective of what that means, like just from the business standpoint, Amazon started off just selling books, from their own, and they only sold things that they had. And what they saw was somewhere in the 90s that third-party selling was really working, and other companies like eBay were showing them up, and they had a lot of internal struggle of what to do. They couldn't decide, and it was a hot debate, and it was a critical time in their company. And they finally came to the decision that even though they were the innovator and what their mission statement was, they had, in a way, had to excuse the term, cannibalize themselves, reinvent themselves, and turn them into something new, because the world was trending in this way and not in the way that they had done. And so it struck me how important this aspect was of constant vigilance of the self, and how I can relate this into my own life, into personal self-transformation, applying that same paradigm. Because, I've always believed that if something is true, it's true in everything. If something's true here, it's true there. It's scientific, it's truth, spirituality, science, business, everything. If I find the right system and apply that, it will work. So with that in mind, and I respect your thought process and how you think, I'd like to get another insight of, when you hear that term, you can't fight gravity, what does that mean to you in your own personal life?
I mean, first of all, I love what you just said, that where there's truth in one place, there's truth in another. And, there are it feels like there are a few truths in the world right now, right, Craig? But I think this title is so interesting, that you can't fight gravity, because, we love to fight change. We love it. I mean, it's almost like ingrained in us that we're built to fight change. We don't want things to change. But we often have maneuvering room to fight change. Whereas with gravity, that's it. There's nothing to fight. There's no maneuverability room there whatsoever. And in reality, that's how change is. You can't fight it whatsoever. And so in the heels of having this really, really wonderful discussion last week with a group of friends about happiness and contentment, we have to find ourselves prepared to accept change, and not just accept change, welcome change and bring it on. So I was just thinking that the best way to really do that, to be prepared for change, which happens every single moment of the day. It's not even, we had this 1 year of change, or this one, situation where it changed. Change is constantly happening. We're constantly changing. And the only way to be prepared for it, and not just be prepared for it, but welcome it and embrace it, is to have true contentment, and really to be so fulfilled and feel so fulfilled internally that when the change comes, not only do we have to, we don't feel like we have to adjust to it, but that we have something to bring to the table, because sort of like our internal cup is overflowing. And I guess in your example of Amazon, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, but in your example of Amazon, I feel like that CEO was constantly prepared for the changes in the environment and what the environment, culture, society not only needs but wants. And maybe this is silly to compare Amazon, this monster of a company, to spirituality, but maybe that's why they've been so successful, right? That not only do they, get ready for change, they embrace it, and certainly they accommodate to it, and then they fill in the need that change brings, right? That's why Amazon, I guess, is so successful. And what if we did that in our own lives? What if we were able to figure that out and figure out what needs change brought in my life and for me personally, and be able to fill it in,
Exactly.
You know?
I was just thinking that again, the contrast between not fighting gravity and then the other phrase of the people who can't change saying, "Make America great again," which really is a way of saying, I don't want to change. I want to go back to something that's familiar because I'm so afraid of what's happening. And we could go all time discussing all the problems, and that won't come to the solution. But something you had mentioned earlier, to me, seems like the solution, and it's to do with contentment. And that has to do with being full within the self. And so would you say that the contentment that you're holding on to or that you experience is of the unconditional kind, that no matter what change is going on, that my contentment is based upon something that's not temporary, like a condition on the outside or even my own healthy well-being? Can I find a contentment, a fullness that is not affected by the events that have happened, the events that are happening, or the events that will happen? And what do I need in order to make that shift?
Yeah. I think we can. I think we're constantly fighting what we know and we see outside of us and the support systems that we build around those things. But we know last year all our support systems were sort of pulled right from underneath us, right? And so we know that those are limited support systems. And in trying to find something that would fulfill me and make me feel full and content, the only thing that I constantly go back to is that I'm here to give of myself, right? I'm here that this is what truly fulfills me. At the end of the day is that I share of my light, that I share of my qualities, that I share, if you want to be more specific, that I share of my happiness, that I share my love, that I share in whatever situation, whether it is just with friends hanging out and that I have something to give and bring to the situation, or whether it's at work, whether I come up with a solution or a new project to do something at work or help somebody. I feel like when we're not sharing, essentially in the most simplest form, our light, which is our own essential qualities, our original qualities, when we're not sharing, I'm in need mode, I'm in taking mode. And I feel that that's truly, truly what will make the difference between feeling good about what's happening around me, being prepared for the changes that are around me. And it's kind of like, oh my God, I went to cook something yesterday and my kitchen is literally 3/4 empty. I have zero in the pantry. I have so little. And so I was struggling. I'm like, what do I cook for everyone? What do I, and then, so it's kind of the same way when we have a pantry that's full, you just open up and you have endless options and you can come up with something really quick. And I feel like that's kind of how it is in life. If I'm filled with the qualities that I need, if I'm filled with happiness, contentment, fulfillment, then in any given situation, I can open up that internal pantry and be able to offer something. And the soul is happiest. I'm
Okay,
happiest
I'm
when
with
I'm
you on
thoughtful.
that.
Okay,
I'm with you on that.
go
How
for
do
it.
you fill your pantry? What is your methodology for filling your pantry?
That's a really good question. I think on the basic terms, um, you have to find happiness, and you have to find the joy in each situation, and joy will bring you that essential feeling that you can share, right? But I think on a day-to-day basis, you have to think about, connecting to yourself. You have to, a lot of times, connect to a higher power, a greater source that you can imagine sitting in any situation and filling you with light. I think that that's really, really, really important, that we have that kind of outside source that we can connect to internally, and just imagine us flushing us with that light of contentment, that light of fulfillment. So I think that's number one. That's really important. But I think it's really important to just sometimes simply start the day in the morning, taking a few minutes out and sitting maybe in meditation, and readjusting your internal, let's say pantry. Let's use that. Seeing, okay, opening up my internal pantry. How do I feel today? How do I feel at this moment? And seeing that if something is off, if there's an emotion that I'm not feeling well, I'm feeling a little anxious, maybe a little sad, a little empty today, how can I use those few minutes to bring up a different feeling, right? And sometimes it's easy in meditation to really think about, okay, let me go to the supermarket of qualities, of emotions, like literally, like
Yes,
imagine
yes,
yourself,
I
you're at the
agree.
supermarket purchasing, and what am I
Yes.
going to buy at this moment?
And that you have the ability, you're not to pick whatever you want to pick. It's not something that the shelves are not empty, and you have the funds necessary, which is strictly just, I'm choosing. I'm choosing this rather than that. And that's the whole thing about choice. It's choosing.
Yeah.
It's the same word, that I'm letting go of. I have my pantry, and then I see, oh, this can of beans, it expired in 2017, but I'm attached to that can of beans because I remember the time I went to the store and what a good day it was, and I was with my friend and we had a good time. And so I'm afraid to change because of the symbol of what I think that means to me. And I'm afraid of letting go, maybe fearing that it won't be replaced with something that's just as good as that, even though I can't even use it. It's a memory can of beans. It's just
Yeah.
it's just the memory. And so that's how sentimentality and nostalgia creep in and kind of bring me down. I become attached to a way of being, and it's like a dream that never did happen. It's just something that's there. And so I put on my big boy pants and I say, wow, it really wasn't that at all. And I really can do it. What's the big deal? I'm going to go pick a can
Mhm.
of new beans, organic. This time I'm going to get organic.
Something
And
a little better.
that's right. And
Yeah.
I feel so much better about it.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Maybe we can live in the supermarket all day long. Let's move in. Let's go
And it's
shopping.
always there. It's like you press a button and then another
That's
and of
true.
course on Zoom or in this new world that see, this is another thing. You can't fight gravity. We wouldn't be having this conversation 2 years ago. This was not available. We would think, oh, it's not going to work. You need personal. I like to be in the vibe. I feel the people. But here we are. This is the way. It's not just trending. This is the
Yeah.
reality that which we now live. And I have to make a hybrid of my life. I have to, in order to, this is a word that's been very important for me recently, is remaining relevant. No matter what my accomplishments were from the past and what I have done, if I can't shift to the way that gravity is going now, I'm no longer going to be relevant. And all my gifts will not be able to be shared because I don't know how to find the app for Zoom. Or, you
Yeah.
can always tell it's a generational thing. Grandpa's got, you see the top of his head, or it just, there's mute. We're always on mute. And so because of the fear we have of not being able to make the change, we say, well, that's the way I am. I prefer it this way. What we're really saying is, I don't really prefer it that way. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I don't have what it will take to make the changes. And so once I realize that that's just a false story, I can tell myself the truth.
Yeah.
And then what I do from the sharing that you're talking about is I'm sharing that truth with my friends so that they also don't need to be under that illusion that they can't make this easy shift into something that's even better for them.
Beautiful. I felt very liberating when you said that statement, the acknowledgement of the fear. Well, I'm afraid, right? And that in itself is very liberating.
Oh, you have to be able to tell the truth. And I've thought of, years ago, I used to talk about courage. And what it came to me is, courage is not like the old thing. The guy is, no matter what's happening, he's going forward. Oh, it's just a flesh wound. We can get it. No, courage is when you're so frightened that you're shaking in your boots, but you're stepping ahead anyway. And I remember seeing that one time with a little girl trying to dive off a diving board, and she'd get on the board and then she'd walk off. And then she came to the edge again and then she walked off. And then she's standing there, she's got so mad at herself and says, I'm going to do it. And then finally she did it. And then that was over in her whole life. And I had recognized it. And everyone, there was a party, and everyone was watching. And so she did this in front of everyone. And I said, wow, that is what courage really is. And that's what embracing change really is. And that we have all these witnesses, and this has changed that. And because the support of, no one was forcing her to do it, but no one else gave her permission that, oh, it's too hard for you. No one gave her anything. They just let her do what she wanted to do. And I'm sure that changed her aspect of looking at herself in life. So the liberation is, let me not get in my own way and not get in the way of others as we go through this process, because we're all just on the same journey at different steps of the journey.
So right, so right. And I think courage is a big word. I think you do have to have courage to invite change and certainly to accept it, and then to invite it like she did. She invited that experience all of a sudden. And then thinking about this thing with Amazon too, and having courage is one of the qualities, but, Amazon has a whole team of people ready, working for them to come up with the solutions and the changes the things that you're going to implement and change. And what if courage is one of our workers, and that we have lots of these workers that we should employ internally, whether it's courage or peace or love or,
Yes.
just respect, joy, any virtue. If we can see them as our little workers that we're employing, and which team of workers can we employ in which situation to bring on the change, and then of course to embrace it. So, but yeah.
I'm normally going with the same workers that I've always gone with because that works for me. And see, this is the thing about changing. It's already working. I don't know about this, but see, like in today's business world, there's all these things, startups. And if I don't make this change, even though I'm the innovator of this whole thing, there's already people innovating on my innovation the moment that I start doing it. So I have to keep up with my own self. I have to be able to move. Otherwise, the things that I'm going to be going to are all these out-of-date things in the pantry when I could be getting fresh produce. I could be getting fresh, but I'm secure with this. I even remember talking to one time a person. She said she was so frightened. She was always brought up on canned vegetables. And then when someone grew vegetables in the garden, she was afraid to eat them because she might get sick from it. because of the way that she had been in that system.
Yeah.
And of course, that's kind of almost a fun, it's like a farce, a satire, but it's real. We're all doing that in some way, just the fear of change itself. And so what's keeping me back sometimes is the past, my attachment to the past. So then I realized I need some detachment from the past. And then that will help me to see what I need for the future is vision. And my vision is going to be blocked by the things that I'm carrying. So I do myself double service by letting go. I'm let go of the weight of it, the staleness of it. Plus it frees me up to see what I want to grab that's there for me, waiting for me for free on this unlimited pantry.
Beautiful, beautiful. I couldn't have said it better.
Well, you said it. I'm just saying what you said.
You're re-saying it.
Yes.
Definitely. This unlimited pantry, that's beautiful. So what are the unlimited things that go into an unlimited pantry? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what my process is. The part that I have to do is the exploration into my inner pantry to see what qualities that I have. And lo and behold, I found some jewels of great things in the pantry that were covered up by an old facade of how I used to see myself. And now that so cleaning is a really important first step. The first step is cleaning.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the unnecessary, there's cobwebs and there's just dust or anything, let alone, a facade that I've created over an image of myself, of whether it's fear or something, a trauma, whatever these things are, that what I do for myself is realizing that that's not really me. And then my next reaction is, I don't want anyone that I meet I don't want to be part of keeping that facade for them. So first of all, do no harm. So that Hippocratic oath is everywhere. That just let me have so much in my pantry that I can just start distributing that here, you can have this, but by the way, in case you didn't know, your pantry is probably better than mine. It's just that you haven't looked. And so we have a tendency to see someone that's teaching as, okay, that's okay for them, but what about me? And that makes me kind of a follower. And so it's not really the case at all. It's the case that we all have it, And so the best thing I can do is recognize for myself that there's no limitation to the goods on my pantry, and let me not be impede in any way someone else doing, and let me just say it out. So that's what really like sharing, you mentioned sharing before. I'm sharing the fact, I'm sharing the truth that we all have a pantry that has everything we need in it. If we could only see past it and to just take that little step of courage. And really it's the step of courage to move this can aside and grab something fresh.
And try something new.
Yeah.
And try something new.
Tastes good. And
a new recipe. We're going to keep going with the analogies here.
You have to be ready for change.
You have to be ready for it all.
So anything,
even the things that come knock you down.
That's all part of it. So then there might be something. Well, maybe there's $100 bill taped on the other side of the canvas, and so what a clever thing. So everything that happens is good. Yeah. I don't mind, and so I recognize, and the reason I can feel that way is I've had enough experience at surfing these waves of change, just as change metaphors. Into seeing that, it can take me wherever I am, whether the pantry is here, whether the pantry's in India, where the pantry's in Afghanistan. It doesn't really matter where it is. Let me enjoy.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well,
I
that
love it.
must
I
be,
think for me, I think I'm going to stop opening up the pantry, and oftentimes it's full, and I say there's nothing to eat.
there might be
So
something in there in a way to put things together that you're not
exactly.
used to putting them together. You say,
Yeah.
wow. And
Look
then
at that.
you feel so good about yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm like a gourmet cook.
Yeah. But not only that, the recognition that we have what we need internally, and that's what you were talking about. And just to really deeply recognize by going internally and self-reflecting and looking at what I have. And I think that you hit it, like a lot of that is just letting go of the past, letting go of the things that it also, the past is a false support system, because we hold on to the memories that make us happy, and because we hold on to those, it's hard to accept that things weren't like they used to be. And so yes, absolutely. So I think that that's key, and that's maybe one of the things that we should start off every day with, is a little time of letting go.
When you say that, it sounds so simple, and
Uh-huh.
and it makes me believe that it is.
Mhm.
And yet, even the whole idea of evolution, the word that was used by Darwin was adaptation. He didn't use the word evolution. And so
Mhm.
it's my ability to adapt. It's not that I'm necessarily the strongest or the fastest. It's, do I have the skill to adapt to my environment for what is needed? So I have to recognize. And so again, it's this whole thing about fighting gravity. I have to recognize where we're going. So I do need vision. Vision is very important in relationship to the future. And the one vision that's true are, what are the qualities that are imperishable? Are there things in me that are not going to be hampered or going to fall apart with time? Let me find the things, or if I can't think of eternal, that seems too big. Let me at least find things that are more long lasting than what I have now. So I'm not dependent on the hit song of last year, but let me find a piece that will last forever. That the music of my life is based on classical piece that will take me through everything. I'll always be in style. I'll always be relevant. So it's just a beautiful thing, even to think and share with you. And I can feel myself learning through just sharing with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do have to keep these conversations going. That's one thing we can do with each other in our daily lives to feel full, and to bring
Absolutely.
in that contentment and fulfillment.
So that's another thing. We need each other.
Hmm.
We need the interaction with each other. It's not about the attachment of clinging to. It's about discovering what happens through honest connection, and not being afraid of what I see. So trust. So there's another thing about that I need. It's one of the things I have to have in my pantry is trust. Which to me it's different than faith. Faith is I don't know it. Trust is I know it. I think that's about our time. See, I felt
I
that.
trust you, Greg. I
Yes.
trust you.
Yeah, I trust you too.
Yeah.
So let's try a little bit of reflection time on that theme.
Okay.
Maybe I'll offer a few words, that a commentary that would go along what we've spoken about, and
Okay.
maybe you could embody what those words are, so we could all see what that looks like.
Okay. Beautiful. Wonderful. I'll let you lead.
Okay. So first of all, let's just take a couple breaths just to connect myself presently to my own mind and intellect. And just after one breath, I already feel different. And so today I'm going to just take a trip into my own internal pantry. And I may have thought it was small, but somehow it was like in a dream. I've opened it up and it's much bigger than I thought that it was. And instead of grabbing for the same things that I've always grabbed before, I'm thinking, well, since it's not working exactly how I want, well, what would I do to change? So let me find something else, some other, maybe there's some different flavors of being. Maybe I want to find the flavor of humility to put into my interactions with others. And I realize right away that I'm attached to a certain way of being. So there's also the discretion of not putting everything into the pot. Let me just use the items that are going to give me the taste that's desired. And so let me let go of my old way of doing things for just a moment. Don't be afraid to take out a new cookbook of some beautiful inspiration that's there. And instead of just saying that's all fine and good, let me think about that for a second and put that under the heat of my own thought and churn that. And this is what meditation is. It's a churning, it's a heating. And in that heat, I begin to burn away the unnecessary, the old ways. In fact, I could even use that as now the heat for the new dish that I'm creating, so that nothing is wasted. Everything is used. And as I start to let go, I feel good right away. I start to feel something in me, something true, something real, not just talk, but an experience within me that I'm worthy, I'm good, I can make this change. Could it be my destiny? Why not? And so then I start in this clarity. I begin to see the world, how it's going. Where it is today, I'm not in denial, but I see what I have to become in order not just to survive this world, but to prosper and adapt and succeed. Just taking another breath. And exhale any remaining resistance or doubt. Just put doubt on hold for a few moments. Could you put doubt on hold for a day, and then you can come back to it later if you want to? But just trust that your actions, that by following this recipe, I trust that by following this new recipe, I'm going to get the desired dish and enjoy the taste and nutrition that comes with it. Om Shanti. Marianne,
Very
thank you.
nice.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Marianne.
Craig. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
this
you for the
wonderful
inspiration.
conversation.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so this is my experience in doing this, is the deepening of just the real relationship between everyone, and how important it is to be validated by your peers and sharing with like-minded souls and coming with openness. And it's just a wonder. I've never ceased to be amazed by the wonder of it all. And I so deeply appreciate everyone that I come into contact with. So that today is with you. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I'll be seeing you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Craig.
Bye.
Bye.